Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Andrew Donovan. 7 weeks from now, Syracuse will have a brand new mayor, Sharon Owens. That means the farewell tour begins for Mayor Ben Walsh, who joins us this week on Newsmakers. Mayor Walsh, welcome.
Welcome. I'm still here.
You're still here, and I promise we'll have you one more time to reflect on your 8 years in City Hall. But for the purposes of today, let's just talk about current news and kind of do a more normal interview conversation. How does it feel, though, to begin winding down? And I'm sensitive because I don't want to tell you it's over. You got a lot of work to do.
I do, and I do it every day. I keep telling people who are asking about what comes next, I just keep waking up and going to work and going about my day like I have for the past nearly 8 years now. But I feel great. I really do feel good. When I signed up for this job, I knew that at best case scenario I would get 8 years, and I got that, and I'm truly grateful for it. And I'm ready, and I feel even better now knowing that Mayor-elect Sharon Owens is going to come in right behind me, and it should be pretty seamless.
You were a very early proponent of her, period, because she's been your deputy mayor both terms. It was one of your first decisions as mayor-elect. But then you were a very early advocate of her mayoral campaign. And so what was it like to be there last Tuesday to see her be able to celebrate victory? It
was amazing. It was emotional. I am not a very emotional person, and on primary night, when I gave her a hug, we both got emotional, and I was like, okay, well, I got that out of the way. And then election night, same thing. But it's, we've been through a lot together, been through a lot of ups and downs, and I know who she is as a person. She's just, at her core, a good human being. And that's so critical for a public servant, and I'm just so proud of her. She, despite being deputy mayor for almost 8 years now, Sharon had never been involved politically, and that's a whole different experience, and she's had to deal with the ups and downs of that. So I'm just really proud of her, I'm proud of her team, and I'm proud of our administration. Being at her celebration, her victory party you said you didn't stay very late, but you were there for the important parts. Did you get flashbacks to your first mayoral victory? I did, yeah. I definitely, there were a lot of similarities, a lot of the same people. But yeah, for Sharon's party, I went with my dad. I came in, I did a few interviews, and then I happily slid into the back corner and hung out and talked to my dad and other friends. This is you in 2017. Yeah, a little different. So, but really a very similar vibe, excitement, again, I'm really proud of Sharon. And if looking at me back there 8 years ago, if you would have told me that this is how it would have ended, I wouldn't have been able to script it any better. What happens now to transition? How does that work? It's tricky. Even as I keep telling our team, and there's anxiety because it's change, and not everyone's certain about what their future roles are. But I keep telling people that this is about as good as it can get. But it's any time during a transition is going to be awkward, especially as it relates to personnel decisions. But we've already started preparing, regardless of who the next mayor was going to be. We've asked department heads to prepare transition memos, depending on who stays and who goes. So that process is already in place. Mayor-elect Owens is putting her transition process in place, which does have to be a separate process from governance. And so we're going to work on parallel paths, but we're going to make sure that when those paths cross on New Year's Eve, everyone's ready. What do you think the biggest challenge is facing her as she enters this seat? Well, I've said from the beginning, among the most important things that I did was develop the team, because that's what has allowed us to accomplish everything that we have over the past 8 years. And so getting the right team in place is critical. And I will say, I think is in some ways harder for Mayor-elect Owens, because these are people that she works with every day, and knowing that some will stay and some may not, that's hard. So I know she's having those conversations right now, but yeah, it's tricky, but I think we're doing it well so far. When you look at your partnership with her over the last 8 years, what are one or two key achievements that happened that you can say it's because of Deputy Mayor Owens? Oh man, there's so many that come to mind. I'll start with the police department. In her role as deputy mayor, Sharon oversaw the police department. She oversaw the hiring process for Chief Buckner, oversaw the reform movement, and looking back on it, it was a very volatile time. And I'm really proud of how we as a city and as city government and as a police department navigated those challenging times. You know, we never bought into the defund the police movement. We continue to fund the department. We continue to put on police academy classes. We will have put on 12 police academy classes. And we put in some good reforms that I think ultimately were good for the officers and good for the community. So managing the police department, certainly. And then I think about dealing with some of our problem properties, the work that we've done with our CEPTED initiative, which is crime prevention through environmental design, addressing environmental conditions around problem properties, shutting down problem properties, working closely with the police department and corporation council. All of that required a lot of collaboration between departments that city government had not seen to that length before. And those are just a couple that come to mind, but she was really involved in one way or the other in virtually everything that we've done.
One issue that somewhat dominated the early part of the campaign was the city budget. And I wonder how you're doing now, because there was a lot of back and forth between you and the council, a lot of it public. They ended up getting their way with how much you were allowed to spend in this year. And I'm just wondering, all the cuts that you were worried about having to make, the limitations that you were forced under, how are things?
Well, I'll start by noting that we have not completed the audit on our fiscal year 25, which ended at the end of June. But based on our preliminary results, we actually achieved a surplus in the last budget year. And people might be surprised to find out of 8 years of budgets, we've had 5 surpluses. We started the administration with a little over $50 million in the fund balance. Today we have over $135 million in the fund balance. So we are strong. The cuts, I think we are just now, as we're getting into mid-year, beginning to face some of those difficult decisions. Early on, we were able to make some adjustments. We definitely had to cut back on certain things. I think about the fire department and some of their fire prevention efforts out in the community, where we educate the community. We've had to scale those back. One big one that's coming, we have a bill coming due for ShotSpotter right now for part of the city. And we have to figure out, I've asked SPD to look at moving money around, and it looks like that's going to prove to be challenging. So we may have to take the council up on their invitation to come back and ask for more money. So I think you're going to see in the next 30 to 60 days and going into next year under Mayor Owens, those difficult decisions having to be made. But I will say, that budget process was hard. It was certainly influenced by the politics of the mayoral campaign. I think the council and the administration are in a better place right now, and I think they're poised to be in an even better place with Mayor Owens and new council leadership.
All right, we'll take a break. We have more with Syracuse Mayor Ben Walsh, the current mayor, when Newsmakers continues. Newsmakers is back. Ben Walsh, the current mayor of Syracuse, is our guest. He will hand the reins over to his deputy mayor when she becomes Mayor Sharon Owens at the beginning of the next year. Mayor Walsh, the current mayor, as you watched what happened last Tuesday, a Democratic mayor wins in the city of Syracuse. That's not a surprise. You won as an independent, which perhaps was a surprise 8 years ago. But then you saw this, the victory of Democrats left and right last Tuesday. And I just wonder, being an independent, not affiliated with a party, coming from a Republican father congressman being raised by him, seeing what the Republican Party is in the President Trump era, what do you make of the results Tuesday and where the city, state, country go from here?
There's a lot to unpack there, but I think the reality is we see the pendulum swing both ways. And in what we saw happen on Tuesday, it is not that uncommon. The president was, this is following President Trump's election when there was a bit of a red wave there, and then you see people adjust to that and have the first opportunity to kind of respond to what they're seeing. And so I do think that you saw Democrats that were more motivated to get out to the polls. And I think that, on the national level, it wasn't that much of a surprise, but, what happened on the local level, again, certainly influenced by national politics, but we haven't seen anything like that happen in Onondaga County in decades. So that was surprising.
Well, and I wonder what you think faces your friend, the county executive, a new challenge he's never had, which is a majority, not his party, in the county legislature with a lot of important projects. Micron, the aquarium has been contentious between the parties at the county level. What's ahead for the relationship between the city and this county legislature changing hands?
So I think it's important to note, County Executive McMahon has been in this business for a long time. When I was, when we were just getting out of college, I was, working construction, and he was running for the Common Council. So this is not his first rodeo, and it's also important to note that he was in the minority in the Common Council for a long time. So he's operated in different environments, and he's a very effective political operator. So I expect him to adjust and engage accordingly with the legislature. But I think what's important is, county executive, as it relates to the city, County Executive McMahon is a city guy. He grew up in the city. He's been good to the city. He's been a good partner for us. So I think that will continue. And as it relates to the legislature, I think we'll see how that goes. But I'm hopeful that they'll be able to work through it just as we do in city government, and most governments have to operate.
Switching topics a little bit to something very serious. Another upstate hospital worker this week was detained by immigration officers. What is the city's awareness of how federal agents, ICE, other departments are operating within city limits?
Our awareness is very limited, Andrew, and it's troubling. I've always said, if federal immigration authorities want to come into Syracuse and assist us in removing dangerous, violent criminals, we welcome it. We don't want anyone, regardless of their immigration status, that is dangerous and violent in our community.
Which is what President Trump said he would do.
Precisely. And in the limited conversations that we've had with ICE, they've reiterated that that's their focus. Now, I don't have access to these individuals' backgrounds, but from personal anecdotes, it does not appear that that's who these individuals are. They're good, hardworking people that are caught up in a broken federal immigration system that no one seems to be willing or able to fix. And so these are people's neighbors, their friends and family. And just this past weekend, I got a call from a friend of one of the individuals who was being sought out by ICE, and the fear and the anger in their voice was deeply troubling, and I think, again, is not aligned with what we've been told the priorities are. And I think it really does undercut the fabric of our community. And now I'm getting calls when our SWAT team is setting up to execute a search warrant on a gun stash house. People are calling and asking if it's ICE, and I don't see how that helps anything.
Is someone in your administration working to babysit this as much as possible? Try to reach someone at the federal government to ask what's going on. Are they in touch with any of these immigration advocates on the ground who might get first word that ICE is in one neighborhood or another? So
we're keeping in close touch with all the above. We have had conversations with representatives from ICE. The challenge is they don't tell us when they're coming. When we reach out after the fact, they will confirm, yes, we were in Syracuse, but that's about it. But the thing is, even if we did know, and when we get calls like I received over the weekend, there really isn't much that we can do. We don't want to put Syracuse Police Department in a position where they are forced to choose sides or to be expected to enforce federal immigration law. And so it is, in some ways, a helpless feeling. And again, I think that there is a role for immigration enforcement. There's a desire on our part to work with our federal authorities, but the way in which they're doing it now is not leaving any opportunities for real collaboration.
Real briefly, has SPD been involved in any of it?
No.
No. Have they been asked?
No. And again, usually when I get a call about an observation in the community, I reach out to SPD, and the answer has always been, we didn't know.
All right, we'll take another break. More with Mayor Ben Walsh when Newsmakers continues. Newsmakers is back. The current mayor of Syracuse, Ben Walsh, is our guest. I'm sorry I keep saying current, like it's a new part of your title.
The clock is ticking.
The clock is ticking, but you are the mayor of Syracuse as you sit here today, and we appreciate you being here. Another thing that's come out in the last week, a momentous step related to Micron, and that is the approval of the FEIS, the Final Environmental Impact Statement, a record of decision likely imminent. But within that paperwork is a delayed timeline on construction. The fab, at least the first one, will get started about 6 months later than projected, but the second fab years later than the shovel was supposed to hit the ground for that second fab. From your inside knowledge, is there any concern about Micron with new information about this timeline?
Every conversation I've had with the county executive and with Micron directly suggests that that the project is a go, and they're trying to push it forward as quickly as possible. It's a huge project. It's a Herculean lift for all parties involved, and I think it's also certainly impacted by macroeconomic forces, global forces really, whether it's construction related, supply chain related. And so it is a bit of a, it's a fluid, dynamic process. I don't think there's been any effort to, mislead people. I think we're all pushing as hard as we can. But what I always remind people of is we here in Syracuse, we've been through really hard times, and we are economically traumatized, and we have had big announcements that have not come to fruition. So I certainly understand why people are feeling nervous, even skeptical, but by all accounts and based on what I've seen from Micron, whether it's their investments in the community, whether it's the sign on top of One Lincoln Center, they are fully invested in making this project happen, but it's not easy and it's going to take time.
It's hard to forget, or it's easy to forget, I guess it's easy to forget that there's a clean room at OCC now.
Exactly.
Micron's logo is on top of the city skyline,
yes.
and
STEAM
that's not cheap.
School's open with a significant investment from Micron, so they are invested in this community.
A major focus of your administration this year has been getting out into the community these speed enforcement cameras, whether it's on actual school buses or at the traffic lights or in the speed restricted areas. Insane numbers at how bad the problem was.
Yeah.
What's your reflection on this as it's now a few months in?
I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we're doing it. I've made it clear that this is about safety first and foremost. Certainly there will be revenue generating opportunities through this, but when I go around into neighborhoods, it is usually, if not the first thing that people mention, one of the first things. Cars speeding through neighborhoods. The reality is, given what SPD's priorities right now and their capacity is, they don't do traffic enforcement like they did 20, 30, 40 years ago. And so we look at this as a force multiplier, and it has absolutely made a difference. You saw the crazy numbers come in after the first couple weeks, over 60,000 violations. Important to note that for the first 60 days it was warnings. As of November 2nd, we are issuing violations. But we have seen those numbers consistently come down to when we look at the top 5 areas where we've seen the most violations. Those numbers have dropped by over 60% from the beginning of the warning period to more recently. So it's working. It's having the desired effect. It's slowing vehicles down, and we expect it will continue to.
What's an example of an outrageous offense you became aware of?
Well, the first big one, which is a stretch that I drive all the time on South Geddes Street, was, I think it was 75 miles per hour going past Fowler High School. Now, that's a 4-lane road, and so it's not uncommon to see cars driving fast. That is ridiculously fast. But probably even more troubling for me was we had a car going 64 miles per hour past Dr. Weeks School on Hawley Ave, which is a neighborhood street. Two-way, actually that might even be one-way now that I think about it, but a car going that fast, having gone in and out of that school, is really dangerous.
All right, a few moments with the mayor after this. Mayor Ben Walsh is our guest on Newsmakers for the first time with awareness that his successor will be his deputy mayor, Sharon Owens. Mayor, last week we had the mayor-elect in the same seat that you're in now, and we got to surprise her, which apparently is hard to do, she said. But we were able to bring in the mayor's autograph book from the Onondaga Historical Association. There's the mayor-elect seeing that book for the first time right at this desk. And I'm just wondering, to see this as your successor, what's it like to see these images?
It makes me smile seeing Sharon smiling. These are the moments that I've encouraged her to really cherish and to absorb, because there's so many things that follow the victory, and it's overwhelming. But there are those really special moments from from election night and to moments like that. And I think that when I signed that book, it really hits home that you are a part of history. There I am with my messy signature that I was told might be among the worst of all past mayors. But when I was sitting there looking at my grandfather's signature and my former boss, Stephanie Miner, it's special, and it was a special moment here with you, and I know Sharon cherishes it.
Well, it's really neat to see video of you from 2018 because you would have been sworn in already.
I'm glad I didn't wear that tie today. I thought about it.
Did you? It's still in the rotation?
It's still tie and suit still in the rotation, still fit.
I wear ties probably longer in years than I should, but it's nice to recycle.
Yeah.
No plans yet for after January 1st.
I have no. The short answer is no. I haven't signed any job offers. I have had a few, and I'm very grateful for that. But it's a big decision. I want to take my time with it. So I'm hoping by the end of the year I will have it locked in, but isn't yet. But I tell people I'm not going anywhere. Syracuse is home, and so you'll see me, maybe just not as much.
Will you take a vacation?
I hope so. We're still figuring that out.
Okay. All right. Well, Mayor Ben Walsh, thank you for being here. We have a lot of coverage still to get to in the last month of your administration, so it's not the last we'll see of you, but we appreciate you being in today, making time. For all the years that you've been mayor, you're always easy to get to, and we appreciate that.
Thanks, Andrew.
That does it for Newsmakers. For all the hardworking people of News Channel 9, have a great weekend.